Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about DAC reports. That's DAC. We're going to talk about what it is and why you should care, especially if you're a newer CDL driver and you don't know what it is. You need to know what it is, and you need to know how this can be used against you. So stick around to the end of the video where I will reveal why this is important, and I'm going to tell my personal story of what I have going on right now involving my DAC report, and more specifically what my current company is reporting on my report that's keeping me from being hired by any other employer in the trucking industry or just any other driving job in general. So stick around until the end. Remember, like the video and subscribe if you find value in this. If this teaches you anything, if this helps you out in any way, doing those two things is really helpful. So let's get right into it. So what is a DAC report? Well, it's basically your driver report card. It's something that trucking companies use to basically report anything that may have happened, any incidents or accidents that may have happened. Now, I made the mistake of thinking that any accident or incident that might happen while I'm with a company would require a police report and stuff of that nature for it to actually be on your driving record. But that is not the case. That's what the DAC report is for. It's not something that's on your actual MVR record, but it is something that is done through third-party companies that offer their service to trucking companies. Now, in this DAC report, if anything were to happen while you're working for somebody, it could be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be an accident involving other people or other cars or anything like that. Any incident of any kind, and it has the potential to be reported by your employer onto your DAC report. So that's the easy way to explain it. It's basically like a driver report card for any employer that you've ever worked for. So it'll show your employment history, how long you worked for them, any incidents. I believe it shows if you got fired or not, stuff like that. So these DAC reports, they are used by all trucking companies as part of your background check when they're doing their pre-hire process. So they'll pull up your MVR, they'll pull up your clearinghouse for drug and alcohol, and they're going to pull up that DAC report as well. And I didn't know that these DAC reports had so much power. I really thought that as long as I don't have something on my MVR with a police report or something like that, that I would be good. I wouldn't really have to worry about any of that. Boy, was I wrong. So please listen closely to the story I'm about to tell you, what my current situation is, so that if you do find yourself in something similar, or more importantly, so that you can prevent yourself from being in a similar situation, because it's literally been impossible for me to get hired to another employer. So here's what happened to me. So I recently had an incident put on my DAC report for July. It's an incident involving some property damage, not even property damage actually, it's an incident involving landscaping damage. Now, this incident was put on my report without any proof or anything linking me or anything that shows that I'm responsible or that I caused the damage, but yet my company still put it on my DAC report. So let me get into the details of what actually happened, and just to provide some context. So I walk into the distribution center one day, and my supervisor tells me and shows me a picture that the store has sent in of some damage, some landscaping damage, basically some tire marks in the grass. And they're saying that that I did it. Now, I found that interesting because, first of all, he tells me, well, they reported this 3 days after you delivered there. So that's red flag number one. If you're going to claim that I did some damage, the time to report it would be the day of, at minimum. And also, if you're going to take pictures of the damage, if you reported the day of, obviously, if I'm still there, you can get the picture of my truck and the damage together. That actually can serve as proof that more than likely the damage was done by who you're claiming the damage was done by. But no, the picture is just of some tire marks, and they reported it 3 days after I left. So in 3 days, mind you, this is a busy plaza. It's not like a store by itself. It's a plaza with multiple stores and businesses. So all types of trucks go in and out of there all the time. So in those 3 days, realistically, the damage could have been done by any number of truckers that drive through there. So I didn't really think anything of it. And because I figured, well, obviously I didn't do this and they don't have any proof. So I just went about my business. That was my first mistake. So come to find out, they charged me with it as a preventable incident, and they have no proof. So once I find out that they're charging me with it as a preventable incident on my report, before we even get to that, still talking with my supervisor, he shows me the picture, and he said, well, I asked him, well, how do they know it was me? And he says, oh, there's a video from the store. So at that point, I'm thinking, great, because I know I didn't do this. So at that point, I'm thinking, all right, so show me the video. But I didn't ask for it right there in that moment. You know, I went about my business, whatever. And when I come to find out that they're reporting this on my report and they're charging me with it as preventable, because there's a difference. Whenever there's an incident, they could charge you, they could put it on there as preventable or non-preventable. Basically, if it's non-preventable, then it doesn't really affect you. Like, it'll still be on the report, but it doesn't really affect you. Now, if it's preventable, then obviously that means that it's your fault. You caused the accident. Whatever happened, it's your fault. So come to find out when they charge me with it, I go, okay, so if there's a video, show me the video, because how can anybody justify, or how can they say 100% certainty that I caused the damage without any proof? So if they're saying there's a video, great, I want to see the video. So we go back and forth. There's this email thread with different people, and initially when I said this, they changed it to non-preventable. But in my opinion, it shouldn't even be on my report to begin with because there's literally no evidence or proof of anything. So, but that would help me. If it's non-preventable, that would still help me, but it shouldn't even be there to begin with. So initially they changed it to non-preventable, and then some other people hop into the chat and they change it back basically to preventable. So I'm just going back and forth in these email threads, and I'm saying, well, I'm told there's a video that proves that I'm at fault. So all that needs to happen is that the video needs to be shown to me. If the video is shown to me, I have no argument. I'm not going to try to fight anything. Like, it is what it is. But I already know there is no video. They have no video. They don't have anything. All they have is the picture of the grass with some tire marks that the store sent in. That's it. That's not proof or anything to put me at fault for doing anything. And also, they have a lot of inconsistent information. Like, for example, the date that they said this happened, I didn't deliver to that store on that date. So to make a long story short, I'm taking all this information and everything that I have so far, and I'm going to get a lawyer involved to help me with this because, like I said, this shouldn't even be on my report to begin with. I don't want to have to do that, but if I have to do it, I'm going to do it because this is literally keeping me from getting another job with another carrier at this time. So, and the fact that this is something that they have no proof of, it's false information, it makes it even worse. Because if I did it, then that'd be a different story. Okay, like, it is what it is. I did it. If I have to stay working here for however long until I can go somewhere else, then okay, that's what I got to do. But that's not the situation that I'm in. So I am going to get a lawyer involved and just provide them with all the information that I have. The company does claim that they had an investigation done and that's how they determined that I'm at fault. But what kind of investigation is done and to make a determination with literally no proof? I don't understand what kind of investigation that is. And in the different email threads that I have going back and forth, there's different situations in there from past incidents and using that as a justification to charge me with this incident, which that doesn't make any sense because something that happened previously, whether I'm at fault or not, has nothing to do with this. There's literally stuff in the email that say, well, based on your past record, that you didn't report something, that also helps determine anything in future incidents, which that doesn't make any sense. You either have evidence or you don't. Whatever happened in the past shouldn't determine a claim that's happening now or something in the future. That makes zero sense. And mind you, I didn't dispute the first incident that I had 6 months ago in February when I started with the company. Well, I started in January, but in February I had an incident, and shit happens sometimes. It is what it is. But I didn't dispute that. You know, I didn't try to say I didn't do it. I didn't know. Like, it happened. Okay, it's on the report. Fair enough. It should be on the report because it happened. I didn't dispute it. I didn't say I didn't do it. Nothing like that. But just the fact that they're trying to justify all these other reasons that make zero sense to justify charging me with this incident, that just on its face, that makes no sense at all. All of that is in writing. All of that is in emails. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be some ammo for my lawyers to use to help get this off my report. Now, the company that does the reporting, there's a bunch of different ones. If you Google DAC report companies, you're going to get a whole bunch of third-party companies that do this service for trucking companies. But the specific company that my current employer uses is DriverFacts. I'm going to put a link in the description to that website. I'd recommend any current CDL driver that is not self-employed, that works for a different company, that they call their HR department or whoever they got to call within the company and ask for their DAC report or ask who they use as a third party to do the reporting. Because if anything happens, then you're kind of already ahead of the game. You know who to contact, where to go, that if you need to submit a dispute, you can. Speaking of disputes, you are able to go directly with the third party reporting company and dispute whatever is on there. So that's what I've done. I've disputed that recent incident on there. But as far as I can tell, they're not actually going to force my employer to provide any proof. It's basically they're going to go off of whatever the employer says. So I put in a dispute and it says on there, I'll put some screenshots. It basically says, well, your employer, they're either going to make corrections or they're not. If they don't, you can submit a rebuttal. And basically what a rebuttal is, you put your side of the story and that'll be attached to the report. So whenever a potential new employer pulls up the report, they'll still be able to see the incident and everything on there about that. But I'm assuming they'll be able to see your rebuttal and basically where you tell your side of the story. But again, it shouldn't even be on my report. They have no evidence. They have no proof. So it shouldn't even be on there in the first place. But basically, that's the only two options that I have, at least with that company. With that third-party company, DriverFacts, as far as I'm aware, those are the only two options that I have. Submit a request for correction, and if the company doesn't do it, then I can submit a rebuttal, and that's it. It is what it is.
Now give me 30 seconds to tell you about this video sponsor, Mass Group Travel. Well, they're not really a sponsor because I'm not being paid for this. I just love them so much. I've used them. They are a travel company. They do group trips. You work hard as a trucker, you try to take care of your health, you're watching this video, well, you also need to take vacations. So if you want a great company that does great trips with great people, check them out. All their links are going to be below.
So that's why I've decided to call some lawyers and see who I can get involved with that. so I can just get it off my report. I really hope this has been helpful. I really hope you can take my experience and hopefully avoid having to go through any of this, because it's a really huge headache. I'm at the point where I would just want to be done with my current employer and move on, but they've made it impossible. They're literally trying to force me to continue to work for them, and I refuse to do it. I would rather go drive for Uber. I refuse to work with a company that's purposely doing things to screw over their current employees. So that's the situation that I'm at. I'm hoping for it to get resolved as quickly as possible, but I'm not holding my breath. Unfortunately, this is one of those things where there's only so much you can do, and typically, as far as I've seen, these things don't go quickly. So that's why I want to get a lawyer involved, which hopefully that'll help make things move on quickly, so I can move on with my life and move on from this employer and just work somewhere else. If this has been helpful to you, please remember, like the video, subscribe, share the video with your fellow truck drivers, anybody else that you may know, so that they're aware of this type of thing happening, so that they can help avoid it happening to them. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the video. See y'all in the next one.